Paranormal activity is a touchy subject. There are those who strongly believe that humans turn to ghosts after passing. Then there are those who do not, and then those who really are not sure and need some evidence to make up their mind. For me, paranormal photos and videos can at times be convincing, but also they are so easy to fake, and it's hard to base a belief on them. Don't get me wrong, so are stories. But when they are personal, and the people involved often do not want any fame or even attention from them, they are the stories that always get me, and most likely you thinking, do ghosts really exist? Well, here are 5 creepy, paranormal stories and encounters from around the world, some of which have never been told before. As always, hit those lights, sit back, and enjoy. The Shadow People. A shadow person is the presence of a spirit or entity that takes on the appearance as a human figure's shadow. They are an interesting supernatural occurrence believed by many, and stories of them are plentiful, one of which has never been told. It was sent in by Elizabeth, whose experience does not fully fit the description of a shadow person, but because she has no other explanation for what she sees, that is what she calls it. For as long as she can remember, Elizabeth has seen a tall, completely black entity which has plagued her life. The figure is not translucent, but a solid black being, and although she is unaware if it's male, the vibe she gets from it makes her believe it is. It has no face or eyes, and Elizabeth describes him as sometimes scary, but other times quite loving and caring. The first time Elizabeth saw him was when she was 7 years old and living in Florida. Her stepfather had awakened her at 5:30 AM as he was going to a flea market and wanted her to lock the door when he left. She waved him off and went back to bed and left her door slightly open. Elizabeth was wide awake now, so reached for a book to read, and when she turned back around, she saw the figure sitting on the couch in the living room that was opposite her bedroom. Strangely, Elizabeth was not scared, but shocked, and as she sat up to get out of bed, the figure walked to the back of the house and out into the garden. Since this first sighting, Elizabeth has seen the same figure at least twice a year, the most recent being in August 2016, when now 25 years old and living in her own house, she found him sat on the end of her bed as she returned from work. As soon as the light was turned on, he got up and walked through the hallway to the back door. The next morning, Elizabeth sent her boyfriend a selfie, and there in the background, a figure appearing to be wearing a scarf and hat can be seen. At first glance, it looks like something in the garden, but Elizabeth explained that the figure was floating as the window in the background is at least 10 foot off the ground. Although this figure is not the black entity she has seen all her life, she is wondering if there is a link. Elizabeth wants to know if any of you can offer an explanation or have had a similar experience. Like I said, shadow people and stories of them seem quite common, so her and I would love to know if you can relate. A Ouija board. This next one is very strange. It's footage caught on a mobile phone that appears to show students reacting hysterically to what many believe is some kind of demonic possession. The incident was filmed at a school in Jolo, Colombia, and is the aftermath of an Ouija board phone app in which you can simulate the use of a traditional Ouija board. Around 20 students were supposedly affected after playing the game, and can be heard screaming and squirming on the floor, later convinced the devil was going to take them. Take a look. The distressed teenagers were carried to a nearby church and medical centre, but no medical reason could be found for their behaviour. What's your thoughts? The Black Monk Ghost. Yorkshire has recently been ranked as the most haunted county in England, so it's no surprise that many of its residents have experienced some terrifying paranormal activity, and Tracy Proctor's story is pretty chilling. Tracy lives in Wakefield in West Yorkshire and has lived in the same house for nearly 20 years, the last 14 of which she claims has also housed an entity. Tracy claims the ghost regularly moves things around the house, including keys, glasses and cigarettes, and also repeatedly pulls down the knickers of the dolls in her antique doll collection. The ghost appears to have a particular dislike of male visitors to the house, and was responsible for her 2 sons moving out. Just recently, when her son was visiting, he said he could hear footsteps in the bedroom, and many of Tracy's ex-boyfriends claimed to have seen a dark figure around the home. However, despite not being able to invite visitors around, Tracy is not scared and thinks the spirit is protecting her. She also claims to have captured a phantom dog on camera sitting next to her 2 dogs. The description of the ghost suggests it could be a black monk, similar to the one that haunted the Pritchard family in nearby Pontefract. Although the spirit was known to be violent and mean, Mrs. Proctor has contacted paranormal experts Mark and Daryl Vernon, who spotted a white orb during an interview in the house. They also insist there is something going on there, and that Tracy is telling the truth about her paranormal experiences. The Puerto Montt Ghost House. This story was sent to me anonymously from a viewer in Chile, and it's pretty damn creepy. It's a new story, only surfacing in March 2017, when police were called to a house in Puerto Montt in the south of Chile. They were called after reports of a fire, although when they arrived, the owners admitted there was no fire, but they were experiencing some strange activity in the house. They claimed objects were floating around the rooms and things were moving, including light fittings swaying and a broom and frying pan appearing to move in the kitchen, as well as a cupboard door flying open and a bucket being thrown across the floor. When the police arrived, they claimed they also witnessed a spatula flying off the kitchen counter and glasses smashed all over the place. One of the police officers entered the property, which was locally known as a haunted hotspot, and called for the devil to leave. But as he walked out to the front door, he felt something graze his back. It turned out to be a knife that had seemingly been thrown at him. Luckily, he was wearing a bulletproof vest and sustained no injuries, but was convinced it was a ghost trying to harm him. The occupants of the house were later offered a safe place to stay by police, and since it's such a new event, not much more is known. What makes this story more convincing is the person who emailed me, who sent it on the day it was all happening, said lots of people in the area actually witnessed things going on and around this supposed haunted home. The balloon. Lindsay from Canada shared this strange experience with me. It all started when she witnessed her uncle pass away when she was 7 years old. As she ran from his hospital room crying, she was stopped by an elderly man in a wheelchair who told her, "It's okay, baby, your uncle is okay." Now, there doesn't sound anything strange about this, except none of Lindsay's family recall this moment, and did not remember seeing the old man in the hospital. Fast forward a few weeks after her uncle had passed, and just before Lindsay's 8th birthday, her grandmother Catherine also passed away unexpectedly. 2 months after Catherine died, Lindsay's mother celebrated her 40th birthday, and this is when things started to get strange. Her mother was given a large helium birthday balloon, but after it had become deflated, one morning the balloon appeared fully intact in Lindsay's parents' bedroom, being bobbed around the room as if it was being held by an invisible person. Apparently during this, Lindsay's father, not thinking it was paranormal, jokingly said, "Hello Catherine, is that you?" At this point, the balloon moved towards a photo of Catherine. Again, Lindsay's dad spoke to the balloon again in a more serious manner, this time asking him how Uncle Ted was. To their surprise, the balloon responded, even though Catherine did not know Ted in life, but the balloon nestled up to a photograph of Uncle Ted. For a short while, it seems Catherine was still in the house with them after passing, and was possibly making her presence known by holding the balloon. This went on for some time, and the balloon would often be seen next to photographs of Catherine in life. Over time, the family were getting frightened by the balloon's movements, and Lindsay's mum put it away, and it has never been taken out since. However, this was not the end. Just months after the balloon experience, sadly Catherine's son Joe also died, and it's believed they caught a ghost in a photo of Lindsay and some of the family. The photo is still pinned on the family fridge, but often goes missing, and one time disappeared for 6 years before turning up in a drawer. In another strange twist, while taking a photo of it to send to me, Lindsay's iPhone malfunctioned, And no word of a lie, we had some real trouble opening the file when she sent it. I would like to know your thoughts on this story, and whether or not you have had a similar experience after a loved one has passed. So that's 5 creepy paranormal encounters, stories and tales, some of which have never been told before. I hope you've enjoyed, thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.